Honorable Shri Pranab Mukherjee, the President of India, Shri Advani ji, dignitaries, guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great privilege for me to welcome Shri Mukherjee this evening. Shri Mukherjee is a man of unparalleled experience in governance, with the rare distinction of having served at different times as Foreign, Defense, Commerce, and Finance Minister. He assumed office as the 13th President of India on July 25, 2012, crowning a political career of over 5 decades of exemplary service to the nation, in the government, and in the parliament. I have had the pleasure of meeting Shri Mukherjee several times. He has always been very kind to me and never ever refused a meeting. Once he even met me at his house at 11 p.m. after returning from the parliament. With a master's degree in history and political science, as well as a degree in law from the University of Kolkata, he started his professional life as a college teacher and a journalist before devoting his life to public service. During his long and illustrious tenure, he has shouldered several responsibilities and has headed many portfolios. Shri Mukherjee was a member of the Congress Working Committee for over 23 years. He was instrumental in spearheading critical decisions of the government on a range of issues such as the administrative reforms, right to information, right to employment, food security, energy security, information technology and telecommunications, setting up of Unique ID Authority of India, Metro Rail, etc., through his chairmanship of over 95 groups of ministers constituted for that purpose. In the 70s and 80s, he was instrumental in setting up the regional rural banks and the Exim Bank of India, as well as the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. Shri Mukherjee was also the author of a modified formula for resource sharing between the center and the states in 1991, which came to be known as the Godgil-Mukherjee formula. Shri Mukherjee is a powerful orator and a scholar. He is a great consensus builder on difficult national issues through his ability to forge unity amongst the diverse political parties that form part of India's vibrant multi-party democracy. He has extensive diplomatic experience. He has served on the board of governors of the IMF, the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and the African Development Bank. Not only is Shri Mukherjee an ardent reader, he is a prolific writer, as well as one who has authored several books on the Indian economy and on nation building. His immense contributions to the nation have been recognized with many awards and honors that include Padma Vibhushan, the Best Parliamentarian Award, and the Best Administrator in India Award. In a survey conducted and published by Euromoney in New York, Shri Mukherjee was rated one of the best finance ministers in the world in 1984. He was declared the Finance Minister of the Year for Asia in 2010 by Emerging Markets, the Journal of Record of the World Bank, and by the IMF. He has also been conferred with several honorary doctorates, both in India and abroad. I thank Shri Pranab Mukherjee once again for honoring us with his presence this evening, and I request him to kindly address this gathering. Thank you.
Good evening. Shri Narayan Murthy, founder Infosys, Shri Lal Krishna Advani, Professor Amartya Sen, Professor Srinivas Kulkarni, Shri S.G. Shulal, Dr. Inder Bharma, Professor Srinivas Vardhan, Professor Pradeep Khosla, Professor Kaushik Vasu, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here amidst you this evening with such a talented set of people. I would like to begin by congratulating the winners of the Infosys Awards for the year 2015. Their research in laying the groundwork for an evolved, enabling, and sustained world. I want to thank Mr. Narayan Murthy and the Infosys Science Foundation for starting the important initiative. The Infosys Prize today is considered by distinguished members of the academia as a major honor and recognition. Awards like the Infosys Prize are an important step towards recognizing path-breaking research being pursued by scientists, academicians across the world. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's prize winners are a diverse group. The award ranges from unraveling the intricacies of analytical Indian philosophy to enhancing our understanding of the universe and its components, and to the biology of the malaria parasites. Complex subjects such as the physics behind high intensity lesser matter interactions, geometric group theory, and material physics have seen insightful contributions from the laureates. The inspiring journey of these winners will go a long way in motivating the next generation of scientists, researchers, and thought leaders. Science, technology, and innovation are the major drivers of the national development. As we aspire for swift, sustainable, and inclusive growth, it is therefore important that we inculcate the spirit of research amongst the youth. The first industrial revolution was a period during predominantly agrarian rural societies adopted industrialization. The second industrial revolution saw striking improvements in manufacturing and production technology that in turn led to a widespread adoption of systems such as railroad network and the telegraph. The enormous expansion of rail and telegraph lines in time allowed unprecedented movement of people and ideas, which culminated in a new wave of globalization. Innovations in the communications and digital technologies in the last decade have brought the world much closer together. The Internet has impacted every facet of our lives, and we are able to access new ideas, information, and a whole new world of communities. The worldwide wave continues to influence how we interact, conduct business, learn, and preserve the world around and perceive the world around us. Suffice to say, advancement in science have transformed the way we live and relate with each other. Ladies and gentlemen, closer home, technology has always become an important enabler for critical services such as financial inclusions and healthcare. The proliferation of digital technologies coupled with advancements in energy and genomics is substantially raising the productivity of business as well as agriculture. Digital technology is also redefining how services such as healthcare and education are delivered, contributing to higher living standards for millions of people. Digital banking is promoting inclusive growth led by technological advancements. India has over 200 million households with more than 140 million thousands in the rural households in the rural areas. People residing in rural hinterlands do not have easy access to the banking service and related facilities. Mobile banking is increasingly seen as a tool that holds the power to bridge the gap between banked and unbanked individuals. India has traveled a long and arduous journey towards attaining excellence in scientific innovation. India, under the guidance of our first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, adopted science and technology as a priority from early days of our independent journey. The creation of new educational and research institutions began from 1950s itself. As early as 1951, the country decided to set up an atomic energy commission which has enabled India build her own reactors. The space program was also soon started, enabling us launch rockets and satellites into space. The Parliament in India adopted in 1958 a scientific policy resolution which promised to foster, promote, and sustain science in all its aspects. In 2013, a science, technology, and innovation policy was initiated by the government aiming to shape the future of aspiring India. Today, we are determined and committed to continued investment in basic science, even as we use science to transform our society. Ladies and gentlemen, at the time of independence, our agriculture sector was underdeveloped and we were a net importer of food grains. It is the synergy between science and the public policy which resulted in technologically upgrading our agricultural system. The excellence of our scientists and toil of our farmers together led us to the Green Revolution in the 60s. We are now self-sufficient in food and have also become a major exporters. Such a transition has few parallels in human history. In the years that followed, India-based research led to the emergence of a strong pharmaceutical industry. Most recently, we have made major strides in the biotechnology and information technology industries. In the field of space exploration, our nation is now amongst top 5 in the world. Recently, we made history when the Indian Mars orbiter mission successfully entered maritime orbit. Indian scientists were proud partners in the discovery of the Higgs boson particle in 2012. We are part of the global collaboration in the science which resulted in a low-cost vaccine against rotavirus, which will soon be introduced in our national immunization program. We hope to soon also launch international collaborative programs in disease biology, marine biology, low-cost diagnostics, Internet of Things, and bioinformatics. An umbrella program called the Nano Mission has been launched to promote research and development in this emerging area. The Nano Mission is good case study as to how capacity and capability in a specific field of science can be strengthened through focused governmental and societal initiative. Today we stand amongst the world's top 7 nations in the number of scientific publications. Many new initiatives were also on the anvil in the fields of solar energy, electric mobility, high performance supercomputing, big data, high energy physics, astronomy, vaccines, waste proceedings, and drug discovery, marine biology, etc., to name only a few. We hope to focus in future on 3 types of scientific efforts. First, the blue sky research dealing with the important developments in fundamental sciences, including advanced materials, high performance computing, and medical biology. Research and development related to man's pressing problems specific to India, such as water, clean energy, waste processing, rural micro-industrialization, and disease. Areas where India can emerge as one of the leaders in the world. We hope to identify such areas and support them adequately. Ladies and gentlemen, the government has undertaken various measures for promoting growth of scientific research, such as a sustained increase in budget allocations for scientific departments, setting up of new institutions for science education and research, creation of centers of excellence for research and facilities in emerging and frontline sciences and technology areas in academic and national institutions, to name a few. The central government plans to soon institute a nationwide consultation process with a view to developing the first publicly accessible science and technology policy. The Policy Efficient Science and Technology 2020 would articulate the country's future towards technological independence and self-reliance in the 21st century. India and Germany will soon begin joint research in priority areas in health research and biomedical science. Under the new UK-India Skills Pledges, 11 UK-based companies have committed to support skills development in India. Together, the UK government and the country's leading business will establish new centers of excellence in key sectors, starting with a center for automotive and advanced engineering in Pune. India's leading research centers are seeking scientific partnerships in the country's remote areas, particularly the states in northeast India, through Indo-French Center for the Promotion of Advanced Research. Ladies and gentlemen, to ensure that we continue to lead the world in terms of technology breakthrough, we need to ensure that our youth has access to a supporting ecosystem, an education system that helps them hone their research, acumen, and a wide network of industry mentors. I am happy to point out that there has been a consistent emphasis on stimulating the scientific temperament of the Indian youth by providing the best facilities to gain knowledge and test their skills. Presently, the country has a total of 16 Indian Institutes of Technology, 30 National Institutes of Technology, 162 universities, awarded about 4,000 doctors and 35,000 postdoctoral degrees, some 20 research institutes supported by the Department of Science and Technology, and more than 40 research laboratories run by the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. We are a young nation. By 2020, India is set to become the world's youngest country, with 64% of its population in the working age group. This demographic potential offers India and its growing economy an extraordinary advantage that could significantly contribute to the country's GDP. The youth of our country need our consistent encouragement to pursue innovation in their chosen fields. I am certain that the excellent journey of the Infosys Prize laureates will inspire youth to take up research and participate in national progress. Let me add, scientific excellence must be also driven by concern for humanity. Gandhiji believed that if science becomes all technique and technology, it quickly deteriorates the man against humanity. Technologies emerge from the paradigms of science, and if there is an insufficient understanding of the greater human purposes that technology is striving to serve, we will become victims of our own technology. I am convinced that India's future is inextricably linked to the progress we can make in establishing strong foundations for scientific research within our country. By rewarding excellence in cutting-edge research, the Infosys Science Foundation is spearheading the quest for breakthrough innovation amongst the young scientists. Innovation is integral to economic development of a nation and society at large. I am confident that the initiatives like the Infosys Prizes will go a long way towards nurturing the innovation ecosystem in our country and inspire young minds to solve the real-world problems. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience. Jai Hind.